So the hypervisor second was mostly that I have shown you yesterday. There was a software which I have shown you, multiple operating systems were there, the Kali, Windows, XP, multiple operating systems are there. Even you can download that particular hypervisor second, okay? And the best thing was that there was a hardware, first building block. Then above that there was an operating system. Above that there was a software with the name of hypervisor 2. And inside that hypervisor 2, there were multiple operating system, right? And that's the thing. Kali, Rumal 2, right, and Windows XP 7, all those kind of different we were having. Okay, that was the hypervisor second, right? And there was hypervisor first, which is much more complex, used in an organization, right, much more secure. And you definitely need to, do a lot of configuration changes in your particular machine, in your particular, whether it's your personal PC or your, you know, uh, desktop. Okay, so in normal circumstances it is very difficult to run it, so you have to make special arrangement into it in order to run the hypervisor first. So see, the Docker purpose is to run applications. Okay, so if you want to build an application, right, all those things, Docker, that's the kind of, the job of the Docker is, right? So what happens is that, see, the Dockers enable you to deploy and run application uh, consistently without difference in the environment. Okay, that's the thing. That's, so you can say virtualization is a technology which has even a big brother, which is called this containers and the Dockers, right? The containers and the, you cannot say the Dockers part, which I had told you at the last slide. It is having the same property as a virtualization. It has evolved from the virtualization. So virtualization is older technology now, right? We have completely switched from the virtualization to this containers part, right? So you can, deploy application, run applications, and I can share that particular piece of a code with you, right? Irrespective of which operating system it is, okay? It will be running smoothly. That kind of things you have in the virtualization, that is a big problem. If you want to download that particular hypervisor that I have shown you, okay, VMware workstation, if you go to this website, so you will be having, you have to tell that which operating system you want to download it. That's the thing, and there is a lot of limitation with the virtualization, right? But that's not the thing with the containers, right? That's not the thing with the containers. All you need is a container engine, and that's it. Inside that you can create a containers, and that's it. So you can say virtualization is a very starting point. Okay, we used it and definitely was for very beneficial. But as we move forward, we have now upgraded the things, right? We have now becomes more advanced, and now virtualization has transformed into the container, right? The Docker and all, Kubernetes and all this kind of thing. So it has the property of virtualization, but even better. Okay, that's it. That's the Docker part, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's start the today's session. Today I will be, it's going to be a very interesting session, guys, right? And today we will be doing a little bit of a hands-on thing. Okay, I will be showing you how to make an account in the AWS and all those kind of things, right? So these are the topics that we are going to cover today, right? These are just the main headlining. Definitely they will be having some subheadings. So we will, talking about them as well. So, okay, guys, so let's move ahead. First is public cloud platform, right? First of all, let's thoroughly discuss about the public cloud platform, because that's the thing which we are going to interact with. You are never going to interact with the private cloud, but it is because, first of all, it is much more complex, expensive to maintain. Okay. Okay, so the public cloud, so there are multiple public clouds are there, right? As I told you, AWS, Azure, right? GCP provided by the Google, there is Alibaba, Oracle, multiple. Every day there is in the market, there is a new, public cloud platform is there. Okay, so let's go and talk about them. So top public cloud providers, let's talk about that, right? In this particular scenario, before starting this top public cloud provider, this particular topic, I am telling you that there are many, if you go in hundreds and, hundreds of public cloud platforms are there in the market. You does not need to learn everything, right? Before starting this thing, okay, let me tell you guys one more thing. That the thing is that many people, many of my students, right, who are just starting into the cloud platform, they are very curious and they are, very hesitating that, Amit, which cloud provider should we start with? Whether we should start with Oracle, whether we should start with the GCP, with the AWS, with the Azure, which part should we start with? Right? What do you suggest? From my particular suggestion is that out of these three, AWS, Azure, or GCP, like We have three cloud providers: AWS, Azure, and GCP. And in today's session, we are going to, talk about that only: AWS, Azure, and GCP part, right? But there are plenty of it. You does not need to go into every one of it, but these three are the main important one. What services you are looking at? Yeah, depending on what services you are looking at, multiple factors are there, right? We will be talking about that. That's also topic in today's session as well. So what one basis or what you choose your particular, this cloud provider. Okay. So before that, my students really asked me a question that, Amit, I have a question that if I want to really start in the cloud part, you know, what should I start with? Which cloud provider is the best for the beginners, right? And if you go into the YouTube and the Google and many other, you will still find these questions, right? If there is a newcomer in the cloud platform and he wants to start his career into the cloud, he's very much, into this particular thing, that from where I should start it. The answer would be, out of these three, AWS, Azure, or GCP, out of these three, right? Because I have done my work particularly in these three only, right? Because as I told you, there are many, and trust me, I have not an experience of everything, but these three leaders I have worked into it: AWS, Azure, and the GCP part. So you choose out of these three any. Particularly when I started into the cloud platform, I started with this AWS only, right? I was taught with the AWS. My seniors, my gurus guided me, but they provided me the materials. They told me how to look into it, how to troubleshoot the problems. So I understand the basic of the cloud. So whichever cloud platform you start with, that doesn't make any difference. Okay, remember this thing. At the end of the, at the end, all of the three cloud providers or thousands of cloud providers at their core is just the same. Like for example, in the AWS, there is a service with the name of EC2, which I will be showing you, and I will be, kind of telling you how it is done and all this kind of thing. So there's a service with the name of EC2. Okay, just for now, remember that particular name. Don't get confused or don't get nervous that we do not know EC2. No problem with that. So that EC2 really helps you in deploying the server. Okay, that's it, right? It helps you in deploying the server wherever you want. Whether you want to deploy that particular thing in the France, whether you want to deploy in the USA, you want to deploy in, in India, in anywhere in the around the world, wherever the AWS has a presence, it will help you in deploying the service perfectly. Okay. So that particular thing would be having in the Azure and the GCP only, right? Definitely that same thing, but the name would be different. It would be something like XYZ in the Azure and something X different with a different name in the GCP, right? So the best thing is that choose any of it, whichever you are comfortable with, right? Doesn't make any difference, right? I started with the AWS, then I learned with the Azure, and trust me, it took at least 6 to 7 months to even from just a beginner to a much more advanced courses, just a 7 8 months full dedication, right? Full complete dedication. AWS, and I understand the basic, and then I switch to the Azure. And trust me, within few minutes, within I think 2 3 months, I was able to pick up the Azure, and even the GCP even much quicker. Even I think in the 1 month, I was able to teach higher certification about the GCP, right? Because at their core, they are just the same. Just the outer covering is different. Just the name is different. One service in the AWS will be finding with XYZ, and when you will go to that Azure part, you will be seeing the same service doing the same work with different name, right? Multiple differences are also there, but overall, at their heart, at their code, they are just the same. Difference could be of the pricing. Difference could be of some features present in your region. Cost could be a difference. Security could be a difference. All this kind of, but most of the time 80 to 90% at their core they are just the same. So choose any cloud provider, whether from the AWS, Azure, or GCP, and understand the basics. That's the key. So the basic thing is that you can understand the basics, whichever cloud platform you want to start with, no problem with it. Okay, and trust me, once you understand the basic of the AWS and all those Azure or whichever you're starting with right now, particularly my expertise, I have built my expertise in the AWS only, from which I have started, right? So understand it. And if you will go into the Azure and anything other than that, trust me guys, you will be able to pick up the concept very quickly, right? Because you will able to relate. You will be have done a lot of work in the one platform, and another platform you will easily able to pick it up. Okay, that's the key. So you can have a multiple, a profile, a kind of a resume where you would be working into multiple platforms. right? Whether you have started with AWS, then go to the Azure and the GCP. Okay, that's it. There is no way that like I have an expertise or I teach the AWS doesn't mean that I would not say to you that do not go for the GCP. If you are comfortable with it, go with it, right? That's it. So it doesn't means which from where you start. The thing that matters is the basics. Okay, so once your basics, you have a command over that particular platform, it is quite easier for you to switch from one platform to another. Trust me, it is very smooth. Okay, for you as an individual, within a month you will be able to pick it up a thing. Okay, because you will be able to relate. So Azure and AWS has which has the most market share. AWS has still the most market share. Right? Okay, now let's go and let's talk about the market share and all this kind of thing, right? So this is about the top public cloud providers. And the pioneer in the cloud was AWS, Amazon Web Service, right? It is by definitely, as the name suggests, Amazon. It is being created by the Amazon. Okay, so the initial story is like that. I have read somewhere that the Amazon was facing some kind of an issue, internal issues, and they were, struggling with maintaining, and they want a kind of a service, right? So Jeff Bezos, right, and some other engineers, right? He and board members, he sit with them and he kind of create a task force to handle that operation, to make that operation smoother. And they kind of start creating, internal for internal thing, not for sharing with other user or anything. They started as a private cloud. Okay. So for their own purpose, they start doing it. So what they did is that they kind of created an internal infrastructure and for, finding out how to, where the books are, how many we have a stock of a books, right? What is the feedback of the customers, because that's also a thing you have to store in the database at the end of the day, right? To analyze it, and then to if the customers have done some kind of a transaction, he has submitted his credit card or debit card, so that's also you have to store it very securely. So then what they thought that this solution we have created this architecture and it's good. What we do is that we kind of expand this, we kind of now make this public, this architecture which we are we have created it inside the Amazon, and it is very fruitful to us. It has definitely increased the operation of the cloud and all this kind of thing. The thing is that now let's make it public, let's make it open, right? And with few subscription, anybody can able to access it, and from there this particular cloud started. And from there this AWS started, and he is the pioneer, right? He's the pioneer on the AWS. That from there, so the Amazon was facing some kind of an issue with maintaining their stocks of the books and all this kind of, because at the end of the day, the Amazon is an e-commerce website, right? So they were struggling with a lot of things, right? So to resolve their particular problem, they came up with a solution. Then they thought that we can sell the solution to other individuals, because other businesses would be also facing some kind of a problem, and they were right. So the moment they made it public, it's just from it completely dominated the market, right? And till today, today is 2023. Till today, AWS leads the market, right? Definitely, the share keep on rising, the market capital keeps on increase. This um, keep on increasing and decreasing for this particular AWS as well as Azure, right? In 2020, I read the report just before the COVID, right? In the 2020 January, it was the report that AWS at that particular moment of time was holding the market, the global market of the cloud, 60%. That's huge. If you are the pioneer and you still, right, before the COVID, hit across the world, it was still holding 60%, right? Then afterward, there was a dip, then it was 53, and then they rise again. So this kind of things happens, right? This keep on changing, but still you can say it is a very big and important player, right? And one more thing, guys, do you know that Netflix is a company, right? An organization that completely focuses upon two things, right? But only one thing, entertainment, right? Whether if it's kind of making any kind of an animation, movie, web series or anything like that, what they do is that they just work into it, right? And they sell to you that you just paid a subscription fee and you can easily watch all the content of the Netflix. But do you know that Netflix is heavily dependent upon the Amazon? Netflix have absolutely, you can say the complete infrastructure of the Netflix 90% is upon AWS. So all the movies that you are seeing, right, they are stored in the AWS S3. There's a service inside the AWS which is the name of S3. It is kind of a Google Drive, but with much more advanced feature. So what this Netflix does is that they kind of store that movies inside that S3, and when you click on it, you are redirected to that particular page, and you can see that particular movie. So Netflix creates movies, web series, and animation, short movies, and all those kind of things, documentary, right? All those kind of things they do, and then they take their content and then they upload it over the you know that net AWS, right? And anybody who is a member of it can access it. It is much more complex, but in a very layman language, I'm telling you, Netflix has 90% of their infrastructure on this AWS, and so does the NASA, right? NASA, very famous organization, National Aeronautics Space Administration of the United States, right? That organization is also dependent. You can say they're not dependent, but they also use a lot this AWS services. Okay, so AWS has very big clients as well, right? So these they have all other big clients as well, but I have just explained you about the Netflix and the NASA part. Okay, so this is it. So in the AWS EC2 allows, this is a very famous service in the AWS, right? Which is called the EC2, right? Which I will be showing you, thing. Okay, which is called the EC2, right? And what happens is that it helps you in creating virtual computing resources. It means it helps you in creating a server, computing server. So if there is a certification you do, right? And definitely if you apply for the job, so definitely you have a certificate, that right, and you are able to provide to that certification to the organization or that HR where you're applying, and definitely that would have a weightage. Okay, so that kind of certification. So definitely when you will go for certification, you have to give the exam, right? Multiple certification are there in the AWS. So when you give the exam, so the AWS really checks that whether you are able to completely understand the concepts or not. Okay, guys, so this is how the AWS looks like. In front of my, the system you're seeing recently visited, these are multiple services are there, not just this one. Don't think that, handful of services are there, like the VPC, IAM, Lambda, Cloud Shell, handful of them are there. No, there are thousands, even I would say hundreds of them, right? Okay, lots and lots of services are there for everything, from AI to virtual reality and augmented reality. All multiple things are there, right? So this is just a peek into the AWS part, right? And when it comes to the EC2, just let me just go to the search bar. Okay, and EC2, right? It's a service which helps you in deploying the server. Remember this thing. Till right now, you can only retain this particular thing in your mind, that EC2, it helps you in creating the servers. You click on the EC2 part. Okay, I will be thoroughly showing you this particular thing in the sessions. Okay, just give it a minute and it's loading. Yeah, see, I am right now EC2, and one thing too important, this EC2 lets you create servers in the AWS, and you can do a lot of things with the servers. Okay, that's it, right? So we will be coming to it, right? So this is how it looks like, that I have shown you just a glimpse of it. We will be interacting with it, right? That's it. Yeah. Okay, right? That's the EC2 part, which I will be telling you. So till right now, you can understand that EC2 only helps you in creating what? It helps you in creating the server. What's the only the job of the multiple jobs are there with the EC2, but the main and important one is that it really helps you in creating the servers. Multiple things are there, which I will be explaining as well. Okay. Now, another second player in the market, if you go and search, right? Second player in the market is the Azure, guys. Okay. This is the second player in the market. And one more thing is that Azure is provided by, as you can see here, it is written, the Azure is, provided by Microsoft. So Microsoft has provided this Azure. Okay. AWS is provided by Amazon, and Azure is provided by the Microsoft. Okay. It is second. And trust me, right now, Azure is second, but Microsoft is pumping billions and billions dollars into this Azure platform to capture a lot of the market, right? Have you guys heard about the chat GPT? Absolutely. AI, yeah, AI tool, yeah, definitely. Good, right? Yeah. So you can say that ChatGPT is AI, right? And the ChatGPT, the kind of organization which was handling the ChatGPT is an open AI, right? So what the Microsoft is saying is that now Microsoft is saying that the organization who has created the ChatGPT, right? And then they have recently, okay, yeah, recently they have also released the security copilot. So the Microsoft has saying that they are now investing, they have invested, there's a deal is going on. They are investing in that organization which has created the chat GPT over 10 billion, right? Initially, and they will be even expanding more, right? That's it. So even if you go to the Edge part, that Microsoft Edge, which is the kind of a web browser of the Microsoft, there you will even get this chat GPT, this a kind of a sister of chat GPT as well, where you can also ask question and it will be telling you the answer and all this kind of thing. Okay. Yeah. So now what the Microsoft greatest plan is that it wants to bring the AI with this Azure part. And trust me, it will be next level. This will completely change the game. The AI would not only, change the game in the context of content writing, imaging, and all this kind of thing. It will also change the game in the context of processing the thing, analyzing the things, and segregating the information, right? All those kind of things. It will make it much more quicker and much more affordable, right? So that's the biggest plan of the Microsoft is that if it's want to, be number one player. Yeah, so you are comparing it. The first thing was the market share. The AWS was having much more market share. And when you are comparing now the service in the context of services, again, AWS has. Okay, now then comes to the pricing. Very, very important topic, guys. Trust me, this is a very, very important topic. Trust me, if you start applying or start discussing with the concept of switching or transporting your particularly your infrastructure from the cloud to the sorry, from the on-premises to the cloud, definitely your bosses or your senior executive or your manager is going to talk about this what the pricing, how much it will cost to transport from on-premises or switch from on-premises to the cloud, right? That's the thing. So yeah, it's a very, very important thing, which even my lot of clients even ask me this thing. That Amit, okay, good. You have told us the features and the benefit and the disadvantages, but what's about the price? How much it will cost and how much it will take, to how much cost would be there after we have completely switched, and how much would the maintenance cost, how much would be initial cost, right, investment, and then how much would be the maintenance cost. So that kind of thing in a short run as well as in the long run. Both AWS and Azure opts for flexible pricing options with pay as you go, reserve instance, and spot instance available. However, AWS has more pricing options and discounts available, right? So these are the options that you have: spot instance, right, reserve instance, and pay as you go instance. Let me tell you about this instance, pay as you go. What happens in the pay as you go instance is that it means that, for example, you are right now, I need a requirement. My client told me, right, there's a client in Singapore, and my boss told me that Amit, go and create a server, right, and provide that access to that particular server to that particular client who is sitting in Singapore. Okay, so right now it is 7:48 p.m. in India, right? So I create a server, right? And I kind of hand over that particular server I created, configure it, and all this kind of thing. And then I hand over this particular server to particular Singapore, that particular client. Fine. Okay. Now that Singapore client, does his work, and then he rings me, then he told me that after 2 hours that Amit, my work has been done, and can you please shut down this server? I does not need that. So after 2 hours I shut it down. So there is no, there is no pattern. Anytime I can open it, and anytime I can shut it down within after 2 minutes or 2 hours or 2 days, based upon how much I am utilizing the resources. I am paying for that. That is pay as you go. So as you are moving ahead and you are using the services infrastructure, you are paying for it. That's it. Okay, very simple thing. Okay, that is pay as you go. And there is something which is called the reserve instance. Just give me a minute. Yeah, there's something which is also called the reserve instance. Okay, in the reserve instance, what you do is that you make a commitment to the AWS. You say to the AWS that, that, like, for example, if I go and I opt for AWS reserve instance, right? So what I will be doing is that I will be going to the AWS and kind of making a commitment to the AWS that I will be using your server. I will be using a server in the AWS 24 by 7. It will be running for a month. So a server would be there. It will be running for 24 hours for a complete month. For 30 days, the server would be running day and night. That kind of commitment I have done. I have made a reservation. Okay, so on basis on that, the AWS will be doing what? They will be providing me a kind of a discount. Okay, so normally if in a normal time, if I go to the AWS, this is a hypothetical thing I'm telling. Okay, so normally if I go to the AWS and say to them, I want to create a server, and they will be charging me for one for 24 hours, they will be charging me, let's say, $10. Okay, that's an, again, it's an hypothetical thing. It's keep on changing based upon multiple requirements. Just a hypothetical thing I'm telling. So they are saying me that, Amit, we will be charging you $10, okay, for 24 hours. Okay, in a normal mode, right, where I have no made I have does not made any kind of commitment with AWS or something like that. Normally they have done. Okay, now what? Next day I go to the AWS and say to the AWS that, I make a commitment, right, that I will be using your server for 30 days, right? Every day, 24 by 7, it will be running for next 30 days. Okay. Now what really happens is that AWS is very impressed, because now I am a client who is fixed. From 30 days, I'm not going anywhere, right? So the AWS has a surety that, uh, he's not going anywhere. He's a fixed client. Okay. For at least a month, he's there. Definitely, and he's going to utilize our resources. Okay, and definitely there would be a server, so he will be also using some other kind of resources as well, because only running a server does not make any sense, right? You will be having some kind of a storage attached, some kind of network configuration. They will be charging me for that. So I will be kind of bringing them some kind of a business. So AWS in that return would be providing me some kind of a discount. So normally for they are charging me $10 for 24 hours. Now they will be charging me what? They will be charging me $8 for 24 hours, or even $7, right? That good. So you can see they are providing me discount. This is a reserve instance, and there are spot instances that those kind of resources which are not much utilized, they are just lying there. Okay, and what the AWS does is that AWS do kind of an auction of that resources. It's like, that if you are a shopkeeper and you have, stored a lot of, a chips packet or something like that in your shop, and now there is not much of a, you can say, sales of that particular chip, right, of that particular biscuit or any other snack. So what you will do it at the end of the day, you would does not, you want, that this particular packets is going to expire in within within few weeks. So what you will do, you will think that, I would just want to clear the stock, right? Okay, I faced this, some kind of losses, I would just want to clear this particular stock. So what you do, you kind of decrease the cost of that particular 10 rupees of a chip to 8 rupees, and you just kind of given. That's a spot instance. When there is some kind of a resources lying there in the AWS platform and nobody is using it, what AWS does is that they kind of decrease the the price of that particular service and provide it. Okay, so it's much more complex than that, right? But just an overview I'm telling you. Okay, so this is it. So that's the thing about the pricing. So AWS give you much more control over the pricing part. It doesn't mean that Azure does not, but if you compare both of it, AWS does it even more, right now. Okay, even within few months it could change, definitely, for sure. One more thing, let me tell you, yesterday also I told you, in the cloud, trust me, every day things changes. Okay, something, some changes are very drastic changes. Okay, some are very minute, but things changes, remember that for sure. There would be scenarios in your particular case that you will be opening up, your particular AWS, right? And from 2-3 days after, you will be using a service, and you have not used that from a month, and the moment you will be going to that particular service, you will be noticing that, that suddenly that particular interface has changed. The button was right, previously it was in the right center, now it's completely in the, somewhere else, and different new features are added. So all these things keep on changing. Sometimes AWS or Azure kind of tells you an alert, sometimes they do not, right? So that's the thing. So you need to keep that particular thing in mind. Okay, very, very important thing, this pricing part. Because trust me, when you will be going to and discussing, or when you are like, for example, if you have your own organization to run, or you are a manager or anything like that, trust me, this market share is not the first thing you will be looking to. It is important, but not the first thing. Yet services and the pricing would be the, it would be the first thing that you will be looking, that how much it will be cost, right? How much it will, you know, how much investment that I have to make. Okay, so that's it. The second thing is that ease of use, right? So Azure has a more streamlined interface and integrates better with Microsoft tool, while AWS, can be more complex and difficult to navigate, particularly for the beginners. Again, so this is saying that the the AWS, it's particularly it is difficult for the beginners. From my particular experience, that was not the case. Trust me. I kind of for the AWS and Azure both were difficult. Trust. Okay, so when I started it, definitely it was, I was very big. I was having no idea about the cloud part. But when I started, I was, shown this particular AWS, and I was absolutely having no idea how it looks like and all this kind of thing. So I start interacting and practicing. So then I got used to it, and then I able to understand what about all the, this options and resources. Okay, so that's not the case. I would not, say that this is kind of it could be, you can say that this is case of one individual. Not everyone would be saying it, right? Some people would be facing Azure much more difficult. Some would be saying facing AWS, right? Or somebody like me would be facing both difficult at the beginning. Okay, that could be a thing. But just keep on learning. That's it. That only you can say, right? And you will prevail. Yeah, sure. Okay, so definitely. And one more thing is that from my particular context, AWS is much more, if you are a beginner, and I would say that if you go for the AWS part, because AWS has much more interface, it's quite easier, right, as compared to the Azure part. But little bit, not much of a difference, not much of a severe difference is there. Little bit of a difference is there, not much of it. Once you are habitual to any of the platform, AWS or Azure, then it's good. Within 2-3 days, you will be habitual of it, and no problem with that. Yeah. Okay. So easy to use. I think both stand the same, right? It varies from individual to individual, right? At the beginning, both were for me, both were difficult, and both were very, tricky things to learn the concept and master it. But as I get used to it, start working on the projects and all those kind of things, creating VPC and multiple other things, and when I got used to it, okay, again, a very important part when comparing AWS and Azure, that's called the security, guys, right? So the AWS and the Azure, they provide a robust security feature, okay? Definitely both are very good at the security part, right? In the AWS, there is something which is called the key encryption, okay? Which I will be showing you as well, right? Which helps you when you want, like for example, when you're creating a server, right? And now you want to enter inside the server that you have created in the AWS, okay? And you will be charging, you will be paying the AWS for that. So what will happen is that AWS, uh, definitely would be there would some kind of key would be there, which you will be using for login inside it, right? That's the thing. So both are very secure, right? Both have both the security, but some cases AWS are, more comprehensive, set of security features as compared to the Azure. Some cases, not everywhere, but that particular cases where they are very high level. But at a beginner level, at an initial level, trust me, both have a very good features. At some point of time, you will be feeling that you will be going for a much more advanced certification courses. There you will be able to find out that, okay, somewhere the AWS has it. Okay, again, it is also subjective. It varies from individual to individual. From my particular perspective, at some higher degree, AWS has better feature, little bit more better features as compared to the Azure, right? But Azure is also catching up with it. Okay, as I told you, they are also integrating, the Azure is also integrating with the AI, right? These cloud providers are also, the race of this AI part. So definitely, if the AI they brings up the AI into it, definitely that's also a benefit advantage, and therefore definitely also enhance the security as well, right? So in organization, you will not be using much of an hybrid thing. Okay, I have not seen using much of an hybrid thing because there are a lot of security concerns. Okay, and what you can also do is that you can take, you can also use, see, multiple platforms you can also take at a time. What you can do is that you can use some resources of the AWS and some resources of the Azure, but you need a team for it to manage the particular both of it. Okay, that kind of thing is there. Okay, again, machine learning, guys. Okay, very, very important thing. Machine learning in a very normal language, it is a machine which has the capacity to learn. Okay, not every machine could learn, right? Like, let's say, for example, like in your house, there would be like, um, air conditioner would be there, okay, or there could be some kind of fan would be there, right? That is also kind of a machine. Even your table lamp or even your bulb would be there. That is also some kind of a machine, right? Some kind of electronics and all those kind of things are there. But that doesn't mean that that machine is intelligent, right? It can think, it can analyze the things. It cannot. So the only that particular machines which can learn, okay, that is called the machine learning. So these machines can learn from the mistakes like the human does. Okay, so they can make a mistakes, they can, okay, they can, then learn from that particular mistakes, then change things in their particular database. Okay, and then what will happen, then they will be learning it and they will also sharing with their other machines as well, that do not do this particular thing, I was in trouble, all those kind of things. So that's good thing. Yeah, machine learning, right? So the, AWS has a stronger machine learning and artificial intelligence offering with more pre-built models and tool available, right? I have shown you in this particular, this particular, right now I have shown you the AWS part, and you can see there was machine learning, multiple options were present there, right? So that's the thing with the machine learning. AWS has an edge over it. Okay, right till now. And integration. See, Azure offers better integration with a Microsoft tool, right? And technologies such as Windows Server, SQL Server, Visual Studio. This is a virtual studio, right? If you have used about like creating any kind, if you have any experience into the programming, right? So particularly, I also use this Visual Studio, particularly if I want to code in the Python, because again, very important thing. If you want to go to the higher certification, you have to, somewhere down the line, you have to learn the coding. Okay. Okay, so Azure, if you are definitely, as the end of the day, Azure is a product of Microsoft. So if you are using any Microsoft account, any Microsoft product like the Excel, Office, PowerPoint, anything, this particular Azure has a better integration with all of it, like even the virtual with this Visual Studio, right? That's it. And AWS has a better integration, with open source technology, okay, third party tools and all this kind of things. So that's the thing. So like the Apple kind of focuses on creating their own environment, in the Azure also, the Microsoft also kind of focusing on creating their own environment. Azure kind of is more compatible. It doesn't mean that it does not support the third party tools if you're using it for any database or anything like that, vulnerability scanning or anything. It means is that it function even, better with their own products. Okay. Choose the best cloud service provider. So if you have in your organization, there's a discussion going on that which cloud provider should we use? Okay, we are convinced, we are okay, we are now ready to switch on, not completely, right? We want to use the best of the both world, right? As I told you that if you are on premises, you have some, plus point as well as some negative. And when you are on the cloud, then you also have some plus point and a negative. So your boss or your senior executive thinks that, we want the best of the both world. So what we'll be doing is that we will be shifting our critical resources, okay, keeping it on premises, right? Some of it on premises and some of it on the cloud part, right? So that's the thing. Okay. So how do you choose it? If there are multiple options, as I told you, every day or every week there is a new provider in the that market. So how do you choose it? Do you pick up any random cloud provider and start, shifting your on-premises infrastructure into it? Trust me, if this is your strategy, you will going to be in big trouble, guys. Okay, in absolutely big trouble. Okay, remember this thing. So how do you choose a cloud service provider? The first thing is that these are things that you need to keep in mind how to choose it, right? Whether it's AWS, Azure, or GCP, or any cloud provider is it? First is services, right? So first of all, you need to go, what are the, from your organization's perspective, what are the services you want, and does that particular cloud provider provides that thing? If, for example, you have personally, like, let's say, learned about the AWS, okay, fine, good, you have some 2 3 certification for that, and you are quite well aware about the AWS part, fine. Now what happens is that your organization in which you're working has some kind of a requirement, like it, something, okay, and like related to any project your organization wants to search, but that particular thing is not present in the AWS. You are in big trouble because you spend your time and money into learning the AWS, and now what is happening is that your organization wants something, that particular service is not present in the AWS. So there, at that particular moment of time, so what you will do, you have to go to some other cloud provider. So that's the thing, you need to analyze based upon your personal requirement as well as your organization requirement, which services, which platform provide which services, are they compatible enough, are you able to work properly with them, all those kind of things, right? So definitely here it is written, ensure that the cloud provider, offer the services, right? Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. If you switch to any cloud provider and then you get to know that that particular cloud provider does not provide it, you are in big trouble. Okay. So the first thing is that, is the services that your organization need is being provided by the cloud provider? That's a very, very critical thing. Okay. Yeah. Then we have pricing. Again, very important thing. The pricing, right? So again, you does not want, like for example, if there are 3 cloud providers, A, B, and C, if you want to choose which one is best for your organization, first is you will be choosing on the basis of the service, then the price. All the 3 are providing you a service of creating the server. The S means the server, okay? All of the 3 are providing you, but the A kind of lets you create the server of for $5. Okay, the B lets you create it for $10, and C also lets you create a server for, let's say, $2 an hour. So $5 an hour, this $10 an hour, and this is $2 an hour. So which one you will choose, guys? A, B, or C? All the 3 are providing the services you want, but now when it comes to the pricing part, which one you will choose? You will be choosing the C part. Why? Because it's quite cheap. That's the thing. That's the reason you have to look into it also. Yes. Okay. So this is about the pricing part. So this is also you have to look into. Then there is security. Very, very important thing. Okay. As I told you, there are 3 individual. Let's take this example once again. 1, 2, 3. Okay. A, B, and C. Okay. Let's do this particular. A was taking five. Oh, sorry. $5 hour, $2 an hour, and $10 an hour. $5, $2, and $10. Like now I've changed. Okay, right? So now here what is happening here is that the security, definitely B is providing $2 an hour, but there are some reports that the security of the B is absolutely pathetic. Okay, they have kind of faced multiple breaches and all those kind of thing. So a lot of problems they have faced. So that kind of things they have faced. Okay, that's the thing. Okay, now the thing is that, okay, so definitely they are in the price category, they are leading it, definitely, for sure. You are if you go with the price part, definitely B would be the winner. But when it comes to the security, then you come to find out that this $2 is not having good security. But that doesn't mean, if you have in your real life scenario, if you come across any cloud platform and it is providing you the services at a discount rate or at a cheaper cost as compared to the competitor, it doesn't mean that cloud provider would be having a worse security. That doesn't mean. Okay, yeah, remember that thing. Multiple things could be there, right? Whether they would be providing some kind of discount, or they want to attract more clients. That could be a thing. So it doesn't mean that. Okay, yeah. So that's the thing. So security is another thing, very, very important thing, right? Because see, for example, let's say you are running an hospital, okay, and you are storing the information of the clients, very critical information, right? Their PII, absolutely, personal identifier information, identification information, right? Yeah. So that particular information, that particular piece of an information, that kind of, uh, with that particular help of with that particular data, it is very easy to identify you. Like for example, your name, your like in India we have something with the name of Aadhaar card. Trust me, if you have an access to my other Aadhaar card or something which is also called the PAN card, right, which is used for in the income tax thing, okay, when you want for the taxation part. And in US you have something which is social security number, and in the Western countries they have multiple other things as well for that. So that's the PII, personal identifier information. Okay, very, very critical thing. So if that's the thing, right, and it's, in the hospitals, you can say that everything is a PII, right? Lot of sensitive data about the customers, right? If there is an patient, he was sick, for how many days he was admitted, what kind of problem he was facing, whether any kind of a disease was there, infection, what kind of medicines were provided to him, what was the bill, and all those kind of, what was there in any kind of insurances, please. All these kind of things are there. These are very sensitive thing, and it should not be done there. So in a greed of in a greed of cutting the cost, what you do is that you go on for a service, a provider, cloud provider, which is providing you that the facility to store the data, analyze the data at a much more cheaper as compared to their competitors. But the problem was there, it was having very worst security, so it faced data breach. And trust me, when this particular thing is in public, then you are in hospital and you relied on an organization which was facing you, kind of use their database and store the sensitive data of your customer, patients, right, and doctors over that particular database. And now the database is facing some kind of leak, right? Definitely, whichever country you are in, whether in India or the US or the Canada or the France, okay, anywhere, most of the countries, right, democratic, if they are, democratic, democracy they are following. So definitely for sure, they are going to, somebody is going to definitely going jail. Definitely for sure. And in the Europe, they had, I think from my particular perspective, that's the best law they have created, which is called regulation, which is called the GDPR. That's fantastic. They have kind of, it's so beautiful that if there is a data breach, right, definitely somebody is going to go for jail, right? If there is, that's the thing. So it's absolutely good, and it's keep on evolving. That's the thing, right? So those kind of things are there. So definitely security is very important. Okay, very, very important. So every pricing is also important. Doesn't means you go for a cloud vendor who is providing the pricing is he's very expensive. It doesn't mean that if that particular provider is providing you some kind of a service, if it is expensive, it doesn't mean the security would be fantastic. Doesn't means that pricing and security has no correlation. It somewhere line it could be, but not always. Remember this thing. Majorly people have this misconception, the pricing and the security has some kind of a correlation. If the pricing is high, so does the security would be high. That's not the case. Till some degree it would be, some degree, okay, little bit, but not always, right? For example, like normally if you are running a service with good hard combination, all this kind of thing, so all this kind of thing, okay. So if like normally if you are having a server and it's that particular server is running as $10, that's it. Okay, then there is comes the performance. Now, okay, now we are good with the pricing. Now we are good with the services. Now we got good with the security part. But now what about the performance, right? So definitely, see, the performance would be also good, no matter of how much security data is, right? If that particular things or that particular cloud provider fails to provide you the performance, or they in the there is something which is called the CIA, confidentiality, integrity, availability. The security kind of focuses about the confidentiality and the integrity, right? But the performance is kind of much focused on the availability. Definitely your data is stored there. Like for example, if I want to store some kind of any kind of data, okay, over my you know Google Drive, right? So good, I've done that. And any one of you, you kind of called me or WhatsApp me that Amit, can you provide me with this particular access to this ebook or this documentation, or I'm, some kind of help I need. Can you provide me this PPT or something like that? And I have that, a backup or a copy in the Google Drive, and I want to access the Google Drive, and I cannot do that. Right? That's the thing. That's the thing I'm talking about. That data is saved there in the Google Drive. It's not integrated. No third individual has compromised it. There is no modifications, anything. The confidentiality integrity is preserved. But when it comes to the availability, I'm not able to do that. That's the same thing about the performance also. Okay. So how good is able to perform? If I'm deploying a server, it is good. The cost was good, fine, right? I'm happy with the cost. It is secure. I'm good with happy with it, right? The services, it is compatible with my organization. I'm good with that as well. But the performance is not good. What about that? I'm deploying a server and it's taking, for a normal server with, minimum hardware configuration, $10 for an hour I'm paying, right? And I'm good with it. I'm thinking, okay, fine, right? I'm happy with it, right? Not so bad, not so good, fine. But the performance is very slow. It is taking even a 10 minutes. Hardly it's take 2 minutes. Hardly it's take, right? In the worst case scenario, it will take a 2 minutes for your server to look if it's good configuration, but it's taking a 5-10 minutes for it. For every time you're logging in into that server, right? And you want to interact it. And every time you are doing something hard, that some hardware, some heavy duty work into that particular server, it's crashing it. Okay. So you will definitely at the end of the day, you will be frustrated, right? So the services are there, the pricing is there, the security is there, but not the performance. So that's the thing also you need to keep in mind, the performance part, right? That, okay. Otherwise, no use of the services, price, and the security. What about the performance? When you want to run that particular application, it's not able to do that. It's crashing every time. What about, these three things, the services, price, and security, doesn't make any sense. Even that particular platform providing you the best pricing, with the best security and the best services, but still it failed to do any kind of performance, right? Then we have support. Okay. In AWS also, we have something called support. Right. Let me tell you that. How much important this support is. For example, you are doing some work. You are deploying a server in some part of a region. Right now, like you are in Mumbai region, you are in Mumbai, okay, in your office, and your boss comes to you and says to you, like for example, my boss comes to me and say, Amit, there's a client in Tokyo and he wants some kind of a thing, okay, and I'm deploying the server and providing, um, inserting some kind of information there, okay, and providing that particular thing. Okay, my customer is happy, it's good, fine, right? And he told me that, I will be using this particular server and accessing this particular resources of your organization for a week. I said, okay, fine, no problem with that. Okay. Okay, fine. Everything is good till here. Now, really what happens in the support part is that, I face some kind of a problem. Now I'm not able to log into my AWS account. That thing also can happen. Remember this, that's not always happen, but that's the possibility that you can face it, right? So what you can do is that you can face sometime you will not be able to log into your account. Okay, or sometime you want to do something, the AWS is, your particular account is not letting you do that. Okay, so for that time, the best thing is that wait for at least 5-10 minutes and do that particular thing again. If you still faces that particular problem, because see, if you are serious about the cloud part and you are really want to make it a career, definitely for sure down the line you are going to face a problem. Somewhere you will be facing a problem, somewhere you will be facing an error, something like that you have never seen in your life. I've seen, right, when I've kind of teaching in one of my session or to one of my students, so I was kind of doing something in the VPC part. Suddenly there was an error. I have never in my life seen that particular error. Okay, that kind of thing really happens. So what I did is that there's some kind of a rules that you need to follow if you find any kind of these errors. The first thing is that first keep calm, right? Keep, you know, don't be nervous or don't freak out, right? Whether if you're in session or talking about your client, right? Anything. The more you freak out, the more chaos there is, right? The first thing is, you know, don't freak out. The first, second thing is that read the error, okay, whatever the error is. And the third thing is that wait for a minute, and even after 5 to 10 minutes, you are still facing that particular problem, contact the support, right? They will be helping you with it within 24 hours, right? That's the maximum I'm telling you, right? within 24 hours they will be through, whether you have whether through text or whether through phone, any like email also, they will be kind of providing you the support, right? And they are pretty good at it, right? Definitely if you want good support for this, so in the AWS you have to pay a little bit extra charges for that as well, right? That's the thing. Okay, but trust me, it is fantastic. I have been in such situations where, I was stuck completely, not able to find out what's the reason behind that particular error. And sometime I'm able to do it. There is no error also. It is not showing me anything. Contact the support. So that is also very important thing. You have your performance is good, right? Your cloud provider for which you have choose, its performance is also good. Its security is also good. Everything is good. But somewhere, down the line, definitely see, because at the end of the So definitely at the end of the day, you are definitely going to face some kind of a problem. So what is happening is that in that particular case or that particular scenario, you need somebody to help you out with it, right? Okay. That's a very, very important thing, guys. Okay. And that particular moment of time, this support really comes. Okay. The support really helps you a lot in that particular thing. Trust me, a lot. Right now, if you are not facing any kind of a problem or where you're new to the cloud, trust me, you will be saying that, why should I spend the money, in this particular support and all this kind of thing. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, definitely for sure. At a beginning level, it doesn't make any sense because how worse that particular error could be. Okay. But when you are in an organization, when you have providing the services, okay, to some big clients, right? And your particular service not able to work properly, right? And you are responsible for it, that time it's very serious. So that support is like like an angel. Okay, so they are really going to help you in it. Okay, but again, there are some charges related to that as well. They have their different plans, like the basic plan, which is kind of free of cost. If you can choose that as well, but the scope would be very limited. Okay, then there's something business plan as well. If you're using the AWS account for the business purposes, go for that, right? That's the best, the premium thing, and but you have to pay a kind of a subscription for that as well. Okay, but the service is completely it's best of the InfosecTrain. Definitely that particular is a support guy, right? If you have any kind of a problem or anything, any kind of a concern, definitely what is going to happen, you're going to approach that particular person, right? So that's the thing. So that's an also very important thing. You remember this thing at somewhere down the line, because we are also, we are all working in some machine, and sometimes what happens, machines fails. That is the brutal truth, right? So to resolve that particular thing, you should have a support team, right? So that uh, is there, right? And trust me, AWS, Azure, and the GCP, all of the three are very good and providing the support, right? I have used a lot. I've used a lot, and I have done a lot of sessions in the AWS part, and trust me, I have faced a lot of trouble in the AWS sometime, because I do a lot of things. Okay, I don't do a lot of things with machine learning and the VPC and all this kind of thing. And I have, sometimes I have created by trouble by myself also, because I was experimenting. There was some kind of a new service by the AWS related to the machine learning, and I was some kind of configuring it, and I completely created a mess. Literally, I kind of emailed the support team, and they really helped me out in resolving it. Within few minutes, I was able to do that. I was able to, get my account back. Okay, so that's the thing. Then there is something which is called the integration, right? Integration means, see, provides integration, with existing infrastructure, right? So whatever the tools you will be having, whatever the applications you will be having, how much compatible with your organization that particular uh, cloud provider is, right? That's also one more thing, very, very important thing, right? No matter how good it is, but if that particular piece of a technology is not able to integrate with your particular systems, that is a big thing. Okay, and sometimes what happens is that if this is the case, because this can also be a case, so if this is the cloud, right, and if this is your particular organization, this O is your particular respective organization, and this is the cloud, if this cloud or is not able to integrate with your organization, so what you can do is that there could be some third middleman or some kind of software, a group of people in place which will help you in connecting. But remember, that could be an expensive as well. Okay, If you are not able to integrate any, there's you like, for example, if you want to go for the AWS part and it's fulfill all of your criteria, but the thing is that you have facing some kind of a problem in the integration, and you are working in an organization which is kind of related to the deployment of the applications, fine, and you're facing some kind of a problem there, what you can do is that, but you can hire a team of a people, okay, or any kind third, application, something like that, to help you in configuring it, right? Or be a middleman. But again, that could be a expensive thing as well. Okay, that could be also, bring additional charges. And there is another thing which comes when you choosing the cloud provider, which is called the geographical coverage, right? So that, the it kind of ensure, that the data center in the region, in the location where your organization requires them. For example, if your client is in Singapore, this S is just Singapore, and the client is in Singapore, and you are in India, and you want to deploy a server in the Singapore, right, closer to the this your client, right? The closer it is, better it is, right? So, but the thing is that that particular AWS, hypothetically I'm telling you, that particular cloud provider is not present in that particular region. That could be a big trouble, right? That's for sure. So that is also thing, geographical coverage. And trust me, AWS has much more geographical coverage as compared to the Azure. I will be in today's session showing you about the complete architecture about the AWS, right? The world map where all the AWS is present, right? The locations. In India, you can say this kind of thing is also very important, right? In India, two regions are there, which is two places where AWS has its presence. Okay, I will be thoroughly explaining you. The first thing is that the Mumbai, it is present there, and another is the Hyderabad. So in Mumbai and Hyderabad, the AWS has their kind of presence. Okay, from there they operate. So from India, anywhere you're using the AWS account or doing anything, at the end of the day, you are, the infrastructure which is present in the AWS, the Mumbai and the Hyderabad region, you are using that. Okay, that's it. So this was the first slide of the choosing the best comparison, right? The server pricing, security in the platform, which I thoroughly explained. Okay, and then this is the next slide, which is about the support, integration, and the geographical location. Okay, AWS and Azure Cloud. Okay, just give me a Santosh, give me a minute, and let me switch into it. Okay, Santosh. So this is the first slide about the AWS and Azure comparison, the market share, the services, the pricing, right? Ease of use, how you are, able to use it, right? As a beginner, okay? But as you go, you get an expertise into it, it's good, okay? And this is the second one, the security, the hybrid cloud, machine learning, and the integration, okay? And multiple more could be there, not just 8, multiple more could be there, okay? That's the thing, right? Okay. Okay, Santosh. Now let's move forward. You're welcome, Patrick. Yeah. Okay. Right. So here, guys. Okay. So see here, it is written here, global infrastructure. Yeah, you're welcome, Patrick. So what here it is like, global infrastructure, right? The CSP, cloud service. The CSP is the cloud service provider, right? Or that particular organization which is providing you the cloud thing. Okay. So see here, this is about, I am generally talking about the in the context of the AWS. So you are seeing multiple rectangles and squares, right? You will be wondering what is Amit, what is this? So guys, let me tell you, this is kind of a summary, right? If you're able to understand these things, trust me, a lot of your problems could be resolved in the context of the AWS, because from here the basic of the context AWS starts. This is the building block of the AWS. Okay, the first thing is the region. Okay, now let me show you what is a region, right? It is again, right? So from here the things are getting serious. Okay, till now it was a warm-up, you can say. Okay, and now it is a really serious. So just give me a minute, let me switch and go to the AWS, that particular part. Okay, so this is my AWS account, right? So see, forget about this for a moment, right? And just I'm going to go to this AWS part. I'm going to home this thing. and just forget about rest of the thing. I want you to focus on, just give it a minute, right? Sometime it takes time. Yeah. Okay. So forget about this thing, all of these things for a moment, and focus upon this thing. This Mumbai you're saying, why you're saying this Mumbai part? Region is compared with the multiple. Yeah, region is comprised of multiple availabilities. And yes, yes, good. Right. So you guys, you're saying this Mumbai part. Pay attention to this part. This Mumbai I'm talking about. I have made a circle. Yes, right. Here is what I'm talking about. This is a very important part. So anytime I'm telling you about the region in the AWS, this is where you want to look. Again, I'm to give me a minute. Let me, just give me a minute and just let me remove it. Yeah, let me draw the circle again here. And let me draw this particular arrow as well for you to guide it out. Okay, yeah. This is it. This is the location. Every single time it will be present here only, right? So where I am right now, I am in the Mumbai region. Okay, let's click into it, right? Let's remove it and let me click into it. Okay, it's loading. Just give it a minute. Yeah, URL also indicate, but I am not going to the URL part. It will be quite confusing, boss. Okay, right now I just want to make it simple, quite simple. Okay. Okay, so see here, multiple things are there, like North Virginia, Ohio, California, you know, Mumbai, Osaka, Singapore, like Ireland, London, multiple regions are there. These are all the regions from where I can deploy my AWS or where I can deploy my AWS, right? These are the, so right now you can see this Asia Pacific Mumbai AP South 1. This is kind of in, it is in kind of yellow color, or you can say, right? Or orange. Okay. So this is from where I am operating, right? Let's switch it. Let's go to the Tokyo region. This is the Tokyo region. Let's click on it. See, this particular Mumbai would be changing. Okay, just let me minimize this. Just give it a minute. And see, guys, I am right now in which region, guys? I am now right now in. Okay, perfect. Right, so you can switch it. Fine. Hyderabad is not that is Hyderabad. You can see here. See, first of all, okay, Hyderabad. That is Hyderabad. Yeah, see here, Asia Pacific, Hyderabad, AP South 2. But here you can see these are 10 regions that are not enabled for this account, right? This is the thing. So from my particular account, these things I am not able to do it. What is the benefit of switching? To reduce the latency, right? The more closer your server is to your particular, the client, the better the performance would be, okay? So for example, if my client is in, let's say in France, right? And I am not having any kind of, present in the France. Definitely for sure I would be having Paris. Yeah, Paris is there. But let's say, for example, let's remove this Paris, right? I have London. So like the London is quite closer to the France, right? Different country. It's a, London is in UK and, Paris is in France. So I will be deploying my server in the London and my client is in Paris. So definitely there would be some kind of a latency issue he will be facing. To resolve that particular thing, I would be deploying my particular thing, my server into the Paris, right? That's the benefit you get. And why not Hyderabad? See here, this particular, it is not enabled in my account. Okay. So what I can do, I can easily enable that as well. All I need to do is that I need to go to that particular, my support team, or you can say that AWS, right? And I can email them, text them, I want to resolve the particular issue. Within a few minutes, all of these things would be resolved. But mostly I does not, use all these things, so it doesn't make any sense. Mostly I use, particularly I prefer is Mumbai, this one. Let me switch back to the Mumbai region. And guys, be very careful, guys. Okay, trust me. Okay, that's a warning, and let me tell you first thing. Then there is a little bit of a warning. Okay, because if you're starting in the AWS part, there's some kind of a things that you have to be very cautious about. Okay, so this is the Mumbai you're saying, AP South. Benefit may have, yeah, multiple things are there, right? Much speed, particularly mostly the speed, right? Okay, so like in the Mumbai, I'm right now, and two region I specifically use, North Virginia and the Mumbai, which I will be in the coming section telling you why I choose North Virginia. It's a very important thing. But right now in the Mumbai region. Okay, fine. Okay, so this is it. Again, a kind of warning is there, guys. The warning is it that, this is not a simulator. This is an actual account. Okay. So when you are doing anything inside this particular account, remember this thing that you will be charged for it. I have seen individuals who have been, my seniors who were very new to the cloud field when they were like in 2010, 11, they were very new and they were kind of, deploying something. So this is kind of, a story of one of my senior, and he kind of deployed a server, and that particular server was running for a month and month, and he was not well aware about it, right? And that at the like for a month it was running, and at the end of the month he got a bill of 60,000 Indian rupees. 60,000. The servers was running. So these are the thing. Be very cautious about it, right? I will be, as we will be moving in this AWS part, I will be telling you what things not to do, right? But trust me, you will be charged if you do things wrong. If these things are very, very important. If you kind of create something, be kind of, maintain a track of that particular thing. If you're deploying a server, maintain a track of that region where you're deploying it. Okay. Otherwise, trust me, you will be in big trouble. Okay. And today's I will be telling you how to, do the billing and all this kind of thing. Okay. This is it. Okay, right? So this is the thing. Now what we have discussed is we have discussed about the region part from where the AWS really starts, right? And then inside the region, let's say this is a region, this is the Mumbai region. And now inside this Mumbai region, we have something which is called the zones. We can have, guys, multiple zones inside a region. Remember this thing, we can have multiple zones inside the region, right? And inside the Mumbai region, you will be having 3 zones. Okay. Right now, I have only created 2 zones. This is this particular box. Yes, you're seeing this one, this and this. These 2 boxes are the zone which is present inside the Mumbai region. Okay. And inside that Mumbai region, you are able to see data center. So each this box I'm talking about right now. Okay. There are 2 boxes inside this region, this one and this one. These are the zones, and inside that, so you can think about they are separated. Okay, they are not physically connected. So inside this particular thing, inside this particular zone, yeah, 3 availability zone in a region. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, 3 or more than that. You can also have 5 also, right? But for just for diagram context, I have made it only 2 availability zone. If you go over the North Virginia region, there you will be finding out 5 availability zones. So that's things that keep on varying. In Mumbai, you have 3 availability zone. Okay. So let me just remove this diagram. Yeah, right now we are in the Mumbai region. Okay, you have selected Mumbai. You have two zones. Zone first, this is zone first, and this is zone second. These are physically separated from one another. Remember this thing, it's a very, very important thing. And one more thing is that inside this particular zone 1, you have data center first and data center second. Inside zone second, you have data center first and data center second. So you can say that data centers are the building block. So data center is what? Data center is the place where actually your particular, you can say, servers are kept, right? Where all of your information are kept in your respective data centers. Anything you want to process or anything like that, it is kept in that particular data center. Okay. Like a Google Drive, anything like that, where at the end of the day, where it is present in the data center, right? So if something happens to that particular server, which is present in the data center, servers are that particular machines where your data is kept, and the servers are present in the data centers. If you go to the data center, that you would, definitely for sure, that, what you can say, you will finding a lot of servers, right? A lot of security would be there, and a lot of servers will be there. And most of the time, what they do is that they kind of have multiple machines in place in order to regulate that environment, because the machines servers need some optimal temperature in order to work properly. So that's the thing. Okay, so that's a data center, right? So see, in this particular Mumbai, in this particular zone first, I have 2 data center first and data center second. Fantastic, right? Okay, so these both combine together to form a zone. These both zone combine to form a region. Okay, so this is kind of an infrastructure of a cloud service provider, specifically about AWS, right? Azure has a little bit difference, right? And so does the GCP, but this is in the context of the AWS I'm telling you, right? Every region would be having the same thing. The difference would be of the region, number of regions. Yeah. Okay, because it's a very important thing. Remember, it's very important thing. There is a service, you can write it down right now somewhere, okay, somewhere down the line, because right, EC2, which I'm keep on saying EC2, EC2, right, and I've kind of shown you right now. You can write it somewhere else, right, somewhere. Oh, just give me a minute. Yeah, why I'm telling you why it's so important, because what is the use of zone? See, zone, what it does is that it kinds of zone, what it does is that zones kind of divide your regions. Okay, so for this is your Mumbai region. Okay, this is your Mumbai region, and these are the two zones. This is the zone first and this is zone second. So what really happens is that if data, if the at the end of the day the servers are created in the data center only, right? So if there is a data center present here in this particular thing, okay, and this both zones are physically separated, right? So what happens if something happens to this particular, zone, this particular zone is still working, and so you, okay, so the zones are physically separated. So what if something happens to one zone, right? This happens something to this particular zone, right? This zone, second zone is still functioning, and you can create your, whether all the data in the AWS is always having 3 copies. Yeah, you can have say that, right? Okay, so something happens to the zone first, it will be doing that. And multiple things are there in the AWS when you go to the advanced part, that AWS kind of, what they do is that they kind of create multiple copies as well, because that's a kind of different thing. Not going into it, right? So in order to do that, so what you can do if you are very, in an organization, basically at a beginner level, I'm telling you, when you go to the advanced part, it is much more complicated. But right now, if, for example, what you do for it, this is by default. Yeah, definitely. This is by default. This is an architecture of the AWS. This is how the AWS is built, right? Yes, you cannot do anything about it. Okay. You can only choose a region and all this kind of thing. You cannot just change any region. You cannot disable it, right? That's not the thing. That's not in your power. This is an infrastructure. Okay. This is being provided to you by the AWS. Okay. Yeah. So what you can do is that in order to have, this kind of thing, that what you can do is that you can deploy 2 servers. You can deploy server 1 here, and you can create a backup of that in this particular zone. Okay, the server is there and having a backup here on a regular basis. It's keep on updating, a kind of automation you have done, that this server would be having a backup in this particular zone. Something happens to this zone, this particular server fails, there's a fire, there's a ransomware attack, still you are able to have a backup of it, right? Multiple this kind of strategies you can use. Multiple are there. Okay, you can, AWS tells you exactly where the region is. In the context of India, AWS is telling you that it's the region in India where they are operating. Okay, it is in Mumbai and in Hyderabad. Okay, fine, good. Yeah, but they will, okay, that's the thing, right? But when it comes to the zone, okay, now you want to know where is the zone is. Like in the Mumbai, if you are living in the Mumbai, so where is actually the zone is, right? You think, okay, now I will visit the zone. AWS does not tell you. We can have an alternative region, the backup for, yeah, you can have multiple strategies, you can do in order to protect your data. Multiple things, right? Multiple backups tools and all those kind of things are there. Multiple strategies you can do, right? So if you have failed that, this zone, if I am deploying a server here and something happens to this zone, you can create a backup somewhere else also, right? Or you can have think that, so something happens to the particular zone, I have a problem, you can do kind of create a backup in another region also. That's an also thing. Multiple strategies you can use, multiple tools also there, some multiple automation tools also there. You does not need to take a headache. You can just set the automation tool, and every day it will be taking up, right? That's it. Yeah. So yeah, let me tell you that everything, telling that the AWS does not tell you about the zone. Okay, the AWS is telling you, Amit, the zone is in India, is in Mumbai and Hyderabad. Okay, I got it. Fine. But I asked to the AWS that, okay, where is the zone? If I'm in Mumbai, okay, I'm visiting Mumbai, or if you are where, local of the Mumbai, and you think that, okay, now today is holiday and let's go and see the, data center in the AWS. AWS would know at no cost, right? Will be providing you with a location of not even the zone. Remember this thing, in that architecture, we have 3 things: region, zone, and data centers. Data centers are the building block. Then there comes the zone, and then comes the region. The AWS only tell you information about the region, not about the zone, neither about the data center. So you will never get to know in the Mumbai, right? Because Mumbai is at a very big city, right? So you will never get to know in Mumbai where they have their zone, or where they have their data centers, where they have a physical building where they will be having multiple servers there. You will never get to know about it. Why? Because of security reasons. Because multiple things could be there. Like, let's say, for just for a hypothetical example, I'm telling you. Okay, this is just one example. There could be many. Let's say, for example, AWS announced that in Mumbai, this is a place XYZ, could be ABCD, could whatever would be there. Okay, so that is the reason, and this is our data center from where we are, storing the information of a client, and if they want to extract it, we are providing it. Okay, fine. There could be a possibility that now from a you know if you think that the competitors, right, or any other individual can really harm you in that way, right? They can, throw something, right, hurt some people. So now that particular place really comes into the focus, and AWS does not want that. So the best thing is that in the security is that does not tell everything. Okay, only if you want to tell the client something, tell them that we are present in your area, in your country, we are good with it. It will definitely, resolve all the issues related to the speed part, and the data transfer would be good. When we are the closer you are to the client, the better speed that he gets, right? The better speed performance he get. But never tells, the best thing in the security is that never tell everything. So the AWS is never going to tell you about the data center and the zone due to the security reason, right? Because people can do many things, right? Trust me, there are many crazy people across the globe in every country. Somebody could, just jump in. They are very crazy about the AWS, or they want to take a revenge, or somebody has, tried multiple attempts to join the Amazon or the AWS, right? So he tried multiple times to join and, get a job in the AWS, and he is not able to do that. He is very frustrated. So what do you do? He kind of a revenge. He want to, now want to destroy the data center or some way harm the AWS. So what he can do anything, right? He can hurt the employees. He can do, jump that particular building and all this kind of thing. So in order to do that, what is the thing is that AWS does not disclose the location. This is just one example I'm telling you. That there could be multiple reasons, but the main reason is the security. If you does not know where is the data center, where is the zone is, how would you, physically create a problem there, right? That's it. So they have, for your particular perspective, they told you the reason. So don't worry about it. We are present in your country. You will not facing any kind of an issue there. So we have that, but they're not telling you from the security point of view where the actual data center is. Okay. Yeah, this is all about the GCP part. So now we are going to talk about the learning, in the cloud platform. As I told you, right? See, in the learning in the cloud platform, you have to first choose any of the cloud provider. Particularly, if you go with the my device, I would say AWS, Azure, or the GCP. That would be any of it would be good, right? Because any, like, Oracle is also, I have, listened from my seniors that Oracle is also good, right? But to be very frank with you, I've never used Oracle. I have an expertise in the AWS, but I have also an exposure of the Azure as well as the GCP part, right? So from my particular respective experience and use of all these resources, it is good. These three are kind of a reliable one, okay? So, and they are very secure and all this kind of thing, right? So AWS, Azure, and the GCP. So you can choose any one of it, right? Learning the cloud platform, any one platform you can choose. And when you start learning, the basic thing is that understand the topics. And the second thing is that the second thing is that, that keep on practicing. Practice is the key, right? That's the thing. Okay, so choose anything. Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't many like if you go to the Google and you search it, like I'm a fresher and I want to start in the, or I'm a very new, I have no expertise in the cloud part, how to start it, right? Which platform would be practice, right? Where to practice this particular AWS account. Okay, yeah, that is the AWS account. You can practice it, right? I will be telling you, right, what to do. I will be telling you that, sir. Okay, yeah. So what is that? That what you can do is that you can do that. You can take any of it and start understanding the concept and practicing in that particular respective account. Okay, that's it. That's a learning. Okay. Then we have. So again, I told you where to start and, the learning path, right? So the first thing is that, as I told you, you have to choose any of it, right? AWS, Azure, or GCP, choose any of it. And one more thing, clear your first of all your basics. And one more thing, guys, in order to at least good at the the higher concept and all this kind of thing in the cloud, whether it's any platform, okay, you have to be good at the networking part, right? You have to have the understanding of what is a subnet, right? Okay, what it is a firewall and all this kind of thing. So you should have a basic understanding. I'm not saying an expert into it, but should have a basic understanding when you are starting into the cloud, right? And a little bit of an also knowledge about the Linux. These two things, I would say three things are very important, necessary for starting into the cloud platform, right? The first thing is Linux. Okay, you should have an understanding about the Linux part, right? Because trust me, if you have like the AWS right now, I'm telling you, it is the GUI version, normal version. There is a CLI version also, command line interface also version is there, where you just type the command and things are done, which is used, in a kind of a much more advanced way and used for pen testing and all this kind of thing, which is much more secure. So for that, you should have an understanding about the Linux part, right? The basics of the Linux, how to create what is a directory, right? How to create a folder and all this kind of thing. So you should have at least a basic understanding about the Linux. The second part is that you should have an understanding about the network part, right? What is a router, what is a switch, how they little bit how they work, right? What is a firewall, what is a packet filtering firewall, and all this kind of thing. You should have at least a basic understanding about these all at all, this topics. Not expert, I'm saying. Choose any of it, any of the three platform, AWS, Azure, or the GCP. But the criteria, I would say that before starting, at least have a basic understanding, or you can do side by side as well. Basic understanding of three things: network, right? Basic of network, what is a network is, right? What is a hub, what is a switch, right? Why switch is better than the hub, what is the thing is there, okay? Different type of topologies is there, okay, right? There is firewall, there's OSI model, right? There's a TCP IP model. What is TCP? What is UDP? When you will be configuring, as you will be moving ahead in this particular cloud part, you will be seeing that you have to set the protocol. So you should have an understanding of what is the protocol, what happens in the protocol 80, what happens in the 445, right? And all those kind of things, protocols, what happens, okay? What are the actually a protocol? What is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS, right? Like just a general idea, not just an expert into the network, but an idea what it is all about. What is a subnet, how to create a subnet, right? In a network, what is an IPv4, IPv6, all those kind of things. You should have an understanding about the network part, right? Second thing is that, guys, the second thing is very important is the Linux part. Linux, the first is the Linux, second is the networking basics, first is the Linux basic, and the third is the patience and practice. This is the third. You should have the patience, because see, because you will be when you will be starting, it would be definitely time consuming process, and sometimes you will be getting frustrated, right? A lot of things can go wrong as well in the cloud, right? You can really get messed up, okay, and you can get confused and all this kind of thing. For that, I'm here. Okay, I will be sharing my LinkedIn profile. You can just contact me anytime you want, right? All this kind of thing, right? Or you can share your queries and all this thing. Okay, now let's talk about common cloud certification. There are multiple cloud, certifications in the AWS only. Right now, I'm much more focused on the AWS part, right? Okay. When you will be like, after this AWS part, you will be also getting this masterclass only. After this AWS, right? After like from fifth day, you will be getting an exposure about the Azure as well, right? What is an Azure? How the design architecture of the Azure is, okay, those kind of things you will be getting it, right? So that's the main purpose of this masterclass, to give in participant about an exposure about the AWS as well as the Azure. So that's a good thing. If you are attending it, you have an exposure about the two leading cloud providers: AWS, which is also a leader provider, which is a leader, right, and which was a pioneer, and the second is the Azure, which will be after fifth day you will be getting an exposure into it, right? How it is and what all these things are there, right? So these are the certification. You can see AWS certification. Not just three certifications are there, right? There are many, but I am just telling you the most common one. The first is that this cloud practitioner one, the first one you're saying, the foundational. It is much more theoretical one, and it is for those individuals, those people who are absolutely new to the cloud, right? But remember, it is not much practical is there. There is a lot of a theory, and sometimes you have to cramp that up as well, right? You have to mug it up sometimes. That's the thing. Okay, not much of a hands-on things are there. So it is a thing, right? It's a foundational. Right? So if you are very new to the cloud part, you have absolutely no idea. This is one of it. Then there is another one which is also very common. So I also teach this cloud practitioner one as well. Right, so it's for those individuals who have absolutely no idea about the cloud but never seen a cloud, right? For those there. Then the second one, it is called the solution architect one, foundation also. If you really want to jump into, like, if you are saying that, I want to go into the cyber security folk, right? So definitely depending upon your previous understanding. Okay, so if you have worked in the field of cyber security and if you have a little bit of exposure about the cloud part, so I would say go with the solution architect associate, the number 2 one, the certification which is kind of in the blue color. Okay, the solution architect associate, right? Because that's the thing I would recommend. Again, it varies from person to person. If the particular person is there who has a good understanding about Linux and who has a good understanding about the network part, and he comes to me, he approaches me that Amit, which certification I should start. The starting is foundation. So I would say do not go for the foundation. If you have a good understanding about the Linux of the network, right? You understand what the subnet is, you know what the directory is, right? You can just move command and there's something which is called the PWT, present working directory, what it means, what is a root, what are the users, right? The permissions in the Linux and all this kind of thing. I would recommend him, I would suggest him that you go with a solution architect associate, right? The second one. Okay, it is quite easier for you to come. And for many individuals, I say the second one, right? Okay, this first one is quite for the manager people. So all those organizations where like as a manager you have to understand, have a just a general understanding about the concept of the cloud, right? But if you go with a solution architect, it is kind of a little bit of a hands-on thing. So that's the thing I would recommend. Okay, so third is the solution architect professional. The solution architect associate is a little brother and the solution architect professional is a big brother. So the topics are, you can say 60% same, 60 to 70%, but much more in depth, right? And much more tricky is that. Okay, so that's it. So the solution architect associate is second one. It's kind of little brother, and it has a big brother which is called the solution architect professional, which is in much more depth, much more detail a topic. Okay, then IAM roles and all those kind of things, much more detail and much more in depth. Okay, that's it. That's it. So there are all, again, multiple other things are there. So if you truly want to start the AWS journey, there are two certifications that you can approach. First is this cloud practitioner foundation one, the first one. That could be thing you have. If you have absolutely no idea about it, you are not from the IIT background, I would say, even you have no understanding about the network, subnet and all this kind of thing. What is what is a DNS is, right? Because DNS is also very important topic in the cloud part. Okay, what is an what is an IP address, what is an MAC address, and all this kind of thing. I would suggest you to go with the cloud practitioner one if you're very new to the field of IT, right? But if you have a little bit of an experience, or you can think that okay, does not know about anything about the IT, but I can catch it up, I would say solution architect is a good investment. Okay, because trust me, this is also a beginner level one, but a little bit complexity is there, right? So that's the thing. So based upon your requirement, you can do that. But mostly this cloud practitioner one is for the manager people, right? They just want to have a knowledge about what it is and that's it. But if you are really serious about it, I will not suggest the cloud practitioner. I will suggest you go with the solution architect one. It is also for the beginners level. It will also start from the beginning, right? And it will be also telling the basics as well, right? But a lot of hands-on things are there. So you have to practice it a lot. This cloud practitioner is a lot of the theoretical one. So definitely, the AWS cloud platform, as I told you multiple times, it is provided by the AWS, right? And it has multiple features to provide at least 200 services. It has from machine learning, from virtual reality to augmented reality, and all those kind of things. Multiple things it has, right? In this AWS cloud, multiple things are there, guys. Okay, yeah. So that is the thing in the AWS cloud part. Please give us some information about a security architect certificate. Yeah. See, the solution architect certificate is that, okay, just give me a minute. In this particular certificate, what happens in that solution architect is that, that it is purely focused, on the architecture part. If you want to create something, it is purely focused upon that designing, right? different kind of architecture in the cloud part. Okay, so for example, if there is a small organization, right, or there is a kind of a hospital is there, so definitely based upon their requirement you will be creating the servers, right? You will be creating the security. Okay, all this kind of thing you can do based upon the requirement. Now if you are now you have another client who is working in the oil industry, okay, and they want to want to move the servers or want to create an infrastructure, so they will be having their another their requirement could be different as well, right? So based upon the requirement of the client, you're designing the system, right? That's called the solution architect. You're architecting, you're creating the systems, okay, based on the client need, right? Yeah, that's it. Okay, that's what happens in the solution architect. You are creating, like normally we use the architect word, right? Architect word, that particular person who designs and just create that particular thing. Okay, that's what happens in the cloud part. You are creating the kind of a system there. Okay, that this is the kind of a device. This is how this infrastructure would be for that particular organization. Okay, that's what happens with the solution architect associate. Okay. So now let's go and let me tell you about the billing part, right? Okay, so now what we have done is that now let's do some practical hands-on thing. Okay, so now let's do that. Billing and cost management. So remember this thing, as I told you that this is a real life thing, and what you need to do is that there should be a bill, right? So I got a bill. Okay, let's do that. So let's see about the billing part, right? Okay, guys, let's switch to the billing part. Just give me a minute. So when we talk about the billing part, right? So if you want to find the bill, you have a bill, right? And you want to figure it out what is the bill about is, right? Okay, so let's see, and let me tell you about my account. So just next to the region, you will see this name, mine, right? I have set the name of my this account is Amit Sky. You can do anything, all right? Okay, no problem with that. And just click on the billing dashboard, right? Just go click on it and click on the billing dashboard and just give it a minute. And it is redirecting, and just give it a minute. See, I have a bill of $1.28 US dollar, right? Just load on. See, okay, yeah, bill. Just give me a minute. Yeah, see, this is the current bill, right? From April 1st to April 30, 2023, which is, like today's 25. Okay, so it's that by saying pending. Okay, so right now I have a bill of $1.28. Okay, so you can see that I have used the resources, right? So these kind of things you can get. So the actual, if like 11 activities I have done, and my current is $1.09. So you will see, I mean, your actual bill is $1.09. So why it's, here it is grand total is showing 28 from 9 to 28. What's the reason? So you scroll down and you will see it is telling you bit by bit. Like you go, yeah, exactly, GST. Anush, yeah, definitely for sure. GST is also there. Yeah. So okay, yeah, like you go for any kind of a show, that any mall or a shop, definitely you have a bill. So definitely in the bill it is written like grand total like 200 rupees. So you will go through that book. Like for example, if you brought any kind of a soap or any kind of detergent or something like that, it will be written detergent 50 rupees. So you will get that, okay, from the 200 rupees that you're getting total, the 20 rupees is for that particular detergent, right? There is some kind of a toy for your particularly kids, right? There's some kind of book which is of 100 rupees. So out of that 200 rupees, like you can break that particular budget. The same thing here. I want to understand this US dollar is $1.09 from where it is. I want to understand that. So here you scroll down, it is data transfer. You click on it. Okay, just data transfer, and all of these services are there. All of these services you're seeing, just let me take a pen and let me mark it up. All the services are there. See, load balancer is there, computing EC2, this is compute cloud, right? EC2, CloudWatch is there, the light snail is there, okay. Lambda, which I'll be showing you, telling you tomorrow. What is it? Okay. Yeah. So all of these things are there, and you can see in front of it, like for example, this is EC2, which is used for creating servers, and you can see it. I have not any kind of a bill. So it has, does not create any kind of bill this month. Light snail, this is kind of also service. I have, 46 cent, right? So this is how you can break it down. If you want to even get much more information about the light snail, you click on it and see Asia Pacific global use. So these are the region where I have used, and in the North Virginia region, this light snail, this was actually a thing that would that I did by mistake, that I created What is light snail? It's a kind of service. Okay, it is also kind of a service. Okay, which yeah, which also helps you in creating the this servers, right? But we will not be doing this particular thing. It's a different kind of service, part of the AWS. Okay, so this kind, it is also kind of a service. So see here, what I did is that like in April's 1st to 2nd, accidentally, I was showing this kind of practical in my AWS batch, security architect, and I forgot to shut it down, and it was running for at least, I think, for a few days. So where it was running? It was running in the North Virginia region. See, that's why I have a bill of 46 cents there. I can just see how, precise information I can get. Light snail, this is service. It was running in the this particular region. How do you shut it down? You just go to that particular thing, service, and whether there would be terminate or shut it down, you click on it and it is gone. Okay, I will be showing you that particular thing. Okay, yeah, right, this is it. Okay, so I can see it is 46 ton, right? What is a global index? Global means anywhere in the world you are, whether in Tokyo, anything, it is going to be this only, right? As I told you, things changes when you switch from region to region. Okay, when you are working in Mumbai region, you deployed a server. When you go to the Tokyo region, the things changes, right? So things changes from server to server. Most of the time it's same, but sometimes there is a cost difference and all those kind of things are there, that changes, but the bill remains the same. So this is the bill, my complete bill of my account. It is not about a region, it is about my complete account. So I have light snail for 2-3 days. I left it open and it was running in Northeast Virginia region, and I have it was 46, right? And the second was data transfer. I was some kind of using it for data transfer, and it was running in the Mumbai region. So that is it. So this is how much you can understand about it, right? So this is your billing part. Got it, guys? This is your bill, and you can even download it. You click on the download the CSV version, right? This is kind of opening up in your Excel sheet, right? And you can, from here you can print it up. See, April 1st and 2nd, and this is grand total. Okay, if you scroll down and you can see your total text. The text is 0.19 US dollar. So it will not be telling you in Indian rupees, but in the US dollar. Okay, remember this thing, right? And see, this is of my April. If I want to go for like my March part, right? It's loading up. See, I have issued it. I have paid this particular bill, and it was $2.62, right? Okay, and I got much more control. Like for example, this was a light snail again. Lightness it was also running in the USCs. $1 was the contributor of it. Okay, so that's it, right? So you can think that this is the reason behind it. Okay, let's go back to the April part. Yeah, right. So this is a bill that you have to pay. Okay. Yes. So how to do that? There would be some like payment preference model. You will go into that part and you will be paying your bill. Okay. Okay. Then there is something which is called the IAM, Identity and Access Management, right? So in AWS, what we can do is, guys, we can create users, right? We can, deploy, assign permission to those users. For example, multiple users are there. Okay, ABCD XYZ, anybody, like, okay, so you can take any of the user based upon his requirement. What you can do is that you can assign that particular user a permission. Okay, and what you can do is that you can also create groups. See here, you can also see in that particular picture I have shown you, you can also create the groups, right? And you can also create the users, right? So you can create a user. For example, this is A, this is B, this is C, right? And there are 3 employees in the same organization, and every one of is having different tasks to do, right? Okay. Now really what happens is that depending upon the job role, they will be assigned the permissions, right? That's it. What happens in the IAM? We have a control, we have identity and access management, right? We can identify who is an actual valid person or not, and we can, access, provide access to that particular individual as well. And the management of it is called the IAM, right? And we have something which is called the group. What happens in the group part is that I want, for example, if all of these three are in the software department, what you will do, instead of going for each one of them, A, B, and C, and telling them, this is the problem with your particular, code, or this is a problem with a particular project, rectify this, improve it, or not use this particular tool, it has some kind of vulnerability, all this kind of thing. Instead of going to each and every one of it, what I can do, I can create a group. WhatsApp or Telegram group, and I can join, attach, all the software individuals there. Okay. And just one post there and everybody would be having that particular email and we are good to go. So that kind of things we can also have, right? We have also policies and multiple things. So it's a very, very vast and important topic, right? Just an overview I'm telling you about the IAM part, but this is how in the photos it look like. You have users, you can create users. So what happens, see, for example, if I am having two folders in my PC. Forget about the AWS for a minute. I have two photos in my particular PC. One photo I am having for my personal, this piece, my personal, my family photos, my personal photos like with the family, my friends, right? And some other so of this is my office one. This O is my office. So what really happens is that I want you to access this one, office one, not this personal one. What I will do is that I will create a user with some username and a password and set some kind of permission that he will only able to access the office one, not this one. So you will be after I will be then sending you the username and a password, and then only you will be only accessing this thing, not this. You will not be able to access it, right? So I can have that even that particular control. So who can access my what resources at what criteria, right? All those kind of things I can do with the IAM, identity and access management. It's a fantastic thing. It's very broad, right? It's very, very broad thing. Okay. Now guys, what I'm going to do is that now creating the free tier account and setting up the billing alert. Right. So okay, first what you need to do is that setting up the billing alert. Let's do the billing alert and then I will be telling you how to create a AWS account. Okay. Billing alert. What does a billing alert means? As I told you, as I told you guys, right, in the setting up the billing alert is that, that when you are, for example, as I told you that one of my seniors was having a bill initially 60,000 Indian rupees. That's a lot of money. So what you can do is that you can set a billing alert. You can set a threshold limit. When that particular threshold limit exceeds, you will get an alert. You can set the limit to, like, for example, $30. Okay, you can set the limit to $30. So the moment any of your service total exceed $30, you will get an email on your particular mobile phone that you have breached the $30 limit. It will not stopping it, just telling you an alert. So that's called the billing alert. So let me show you how to do that. For that, first you need to do is that you need to go to the budget, right? See, all of the budgets are there, right? Right? Budget is something like that. You are setting up a a limit that how much you want, Okay, see. So this is kind of your budget, okay? So really what happens in the budget part is that, this is a budget you can fix up, okay? So what happens in this particular budget is that you can set up the budget that, the moment I am setting up a budget and I exceed this $5 limit, I will be getting an alert that you have, breached that thing, okay? So what I can do, I will be opening my AWS account and shutting it down. Or you can say terminating that particular service. So how to set up a budget? Click on the create budget, right? Multiple things are there. Right, I'm clicking on this monthly cost budget, right, on a monthly basis. Multiple things are there which I'm not going to into it. Monthly one, I'm setting the budget name. Let's say 123, my monthly cost budget 123. Enter the budget amount. What should be the budget amount? It could be anything you want an alert for. Like for example, I could say $10, right? So the moment my any service in my complete AWS account, no matter what the region is, if they the bill exceed the $10, I will be getting an alert. Okay, and the email you have to type it here. So this is an email provided by the organization. So you can use anyone, and you can just, if you want to another add, you can add in comma and then put something else. Okay, and you scroll down and see here, you will be notified when your actual spend is reached 82%. So whatever would be the 10% of this 82% would be getting it, then that much that particular alert. And the second would be when you will be actually exhausting the $10, when you are all the resources collectively had touched the $10 limit, you will getting an alert second time. And when there is a forecast, that means based upon your previous activity, based upon the activity of your previous month, they have made a kind of a guess that you are today this. So the forecast spend, you have, if it reach, so if the forecast means they are kind of making a prediction that based upon your activity this month or the previous month, you will be exceeding this thing within few days. So that's the third alert you will be getting. Okay, but again, it's just an alert you will be getting it, right? It will not be stopping, right? Remember this thing. Okay, yeah. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a budget. Just click on the create a budget, and I have created a budget. See, monthly, this is the budget that I've created, right? Okay, and I've set the limit of $10. And threshold is okay, right? And see here, just think for example, okay, just yeah, see this, the sky one, it is written exceeded. I have set the limit of $1 and I have exceeded it. So it's this kind of thing. So I got an alert for this, right? So you can see exceeded means this is the limit that I have set and I have exceeded that thing, right? That's it. So this is kind of a budget, and this is kind of, limit that you how you can set. Okay. And see also, right, there were two topics, the budget and the billing. So I have told you about the budget as well, how to create the budget and the threshold. So this is how the budget would be looking. You will be creating the budget, the cost, right? And that's it. Okay, so the moment you have set the budget and the billing alert, right? So the moment you exceed it, you will be getting a kind of alert that you have exceeded it. Okay, that's it. So let's create an AWS account, guys. Let's do that. To create If you want to create an AWS account, what you need to do is that you need to type aws.amazon.com in your particular account, right? Yeah, first thing is that the moment you click on this aws.amazon.com, right? This is a thing. Now I'm telling you how to create an account into the AWS. Okay. So this kind of a thing would be coming. Remember this thing. It is aws.amazon.com, right? Okay, that's it. So what you need to do is that, yeah, so this is it. Okay, so what you need to do is that you need to click on create AWS, click on create AWS account, click on that. Okay, and just give me a minute, let me minimize my screen. Yeah, you will see this kind of thing, signing up for your AWS root email address that you will be using for signing into your AWS account, right? That kind of thing you will be getting. Okay, guys. So again, very important thing is that do not use your office email address here, right? Use your personal one. Okay, trust me, otherwise you will be in big trouble. So whatever the account you will be adding up here, remember this thing that uh, the AWS would be through this particular email address you will be next time logging into your AWS account. Okay, and now enter the name of the account. Name of the account could be like, say, okay. Okay, guys, so this is how it look like. The moment you type aws.amazon.com, this will be you will be getting a page where you have to click on create an AWS account, and it will be redirecting you to this part. Okay, now what you need to do is that you need to verify the email address. You have account name would be one, like in my actual account it is Amit Sky. So the account, if I am able to create this account, I will be getting this name one, right? And this is the email address. Okay, click on verify email address. Okay, let's do that. See, it has sent an email for verification. So verification code would be sent by the AWS. Okay, so wait a minute. Okay, so this is a verification code that I've entered. Click on verify. Okay, so it's you, right? Your email address has been successfully verified. So from next time, if I'm able to create this account, this is how I will be using it. Now I am need to enter my password. Anything password you can enter here. Okay, anything randomly I'm entering here. Okay, sign up for the AWS. Now, okay, this is an interesting part where many of this, the client really get confused, or the student really get confused. So what you need to do is, how do you plan for the use of this AWS? Personal or business? It doesn't make any difference. You choose on the personal. Otherwise, if you choose on the business one, it will be asking for your business address. That's the thing. I'm going to choose the personal. Enter your full name here in this. What is the root password? What is the root password? Root password is that particular password which will be the next time if this account is created. So when you want to access it, right, the password is your root password, the actual password. Okay, right? After doing it, after all these things, right? I'm not able to do it. Why? Because I have already a phone number registered into it. It will saying me that, that this phone number is already registered, right? That could be a thing, right? So I cannot go, uh, you know, into the next level. So I'm telling you how to do that, right? Enter everything, full name and the thing. The moment you have done and continue with the next step, you will be again redirecting to a page which is called billing information. It will be asking for your credit card or debit card number. Okay, that then there would be expiry month, then there would be, the card holder name, CVV number, all those kind of things you have to provide, right, of the credit card or the debit card. But remember, only Mastercard and the Visa card are allowed, right? Not the Rupee card. If you have the Rupee card, it would not be valid, or it would be creating a lot of trouble. So it does not need to have that. Okay. And the moment you have entered the credentials, the name of the username of the card holder and all this kind of thing, you click on it, then it will be sending you a OTP in your this phone number that you have sent here. Whatever the phone number you will be, typing here, it will be sending you an OTP here, right? And you will be getting a OTP from your particular bank, and you will be entering it, right? And one more thing is that, the AWS would be deducting from your bank account $2, right? $2, right? For 2 to 4 days. After 4 days, they will be refunding it back. Why they deduct $2? Because for the reconfirmation whether you are an actual legitimate person, right? So that for 2 days, for 2 to 4 days, they will be holding up $2 from your bank account, and then they will be releasing it back to you, right? So don't worry, after a few days they will be releasing it back, right? And after that, then they will be again asking for the mobile number, then they will be sending some code, you have to reconfirm it. Both credit card and debit card allowed? Yes, both debit card and credit card are allowed, right? And then you have to send the verification code and you're good to go, right? And after at least, I would say, wait at least 8 hours, and then you will be getting, then start using your AWS account. Okay, that's it. That's how you create an AWS account. Okay, guys, I cannot go ahead from this particular step because the numbers already I have registered. That's the thing. Okay, it's quite simple. If you face any kind of problem, you can contact me in the LinkedIn, which I will be sharing. Okay, this is it. This is how you can create your AWS account, guys. Okay, so now let's move ahead to the next topic. Yeah, compute services in the AWS, right? So some compute services I told you, see, multiple services are there, like related to this particular, containers, database, development tool, and the blockchain. Multiple things are there. So the compute services are those services which has a computing property, means they can have, they can analyze the data, they can process the data. So all these services you're seeing, the moment you click on it or at the sign, these many services are there which has computing properties. We will be focusing upon this EC2 part, right? All these have computational properties, right? That's it. So that's the thing. So compute power is means, see here, it is in the compute, it is, they have kind of created a, image of a processor. It means all of these services, they can process things, right? Different kind of data, but some way, one way or another, they can at the end of the day process things, right? Right. Yeah. This is your computer services, but we will make it majorly focus upon the EC2 part. So this is an Amazon EC2, right? Just an overview. So it is a web service provider by the Amazon Web that allows you to rent virtual computing resources in the cloud, right? Or you can, in a very short language, you can say that helps you in creating the servers, right? If you're a very beginner, just write it down. It helps you in creating the server. Definitely much more advanced things are there. You can also do that, right? So it can, you use multiple operating system from Linux and all those kind of things. You can set the hardware configuration and multiple things you can do with it. Okay. Tomorrow we will be playing with it and I will be telling you how to, do a lot of things into it. So this is the EC2 part, just an overview, right? This is how it looks like. It really has a multiple time told that it helps you in creating the server. Okay. And I've shown you that this is how the, the EC2 from inside looks like. This is the dashboard inside the EC2 where you can see which servers are running, how much snap, multiple things are there. What are the different resources in place? You can stop them, right? You can create multiple copies, all those kind of things you can do. This particular dashboard, it kind of summarizes the EC2. What are things going on inside it?